All right, so today's topic is SQL. SQL is so basically it's backend testing. Backend, I'm going to be using a lot of words, keyword, and so if you get confused, let me know. So, you know, this is the whole thing you're going to learn is all about database testing, is also known as backend testing, is also known as SQL. So let's go one by one. So when you hear that terminology, backend testing is nothing but testing the storage of your application. Every application has a physical storage where they store the data. And we also need to test that data, making sure that is stored properly, is working as expected, and returning what we are expecting, and also for the data integrity. So, so we're going to learn about that. So backend and database is same thing, and also SQL is something that you're going to be using to retrieve the data. SQL stands for Structured Query Language. Let's look at this document. And yeah, what is SQL? Structured Query Language. Can you guys see my screen with the PDF where it says what is SQL?
Yes, I can see it by.
Cool, thank you so much. Okay, so Structured Query Language, which is a computer language for storing, manipulating, and retrieving data stored in a relational database. So basically, data is stored in a database. Think of it as electronic file cabinet. You know how we store files in the cabinet? So similarly, you have to store the data in electronic file cabinet. So think of it as that. And it's not just storing, it's also retrieving the data to verifying that the correctness of the data. So you and I, we're not responsible for storing the data. We're not responsible for updating the data. We're not responsible for maintaining the data. All we're responsible for is to verifying the data, the correctness of the data whenever it's needed. Okay, SQL is a standard language for relationship database system. All the relationship database management system pretty much like SQL. So in terms of relationship database, we have multiple database. We have MySQL, MS Access, Oracle. I'm just going to go over the most popular one. So MySQL, MS Database, Oracle Database, SQL Server are the standard SQL databases. So when you go to the industry, or even for your interview, they will talk about these ones that I just mentioned, Oracle and SQL Server. These two are the popular ones. And then we have MySQL, and then we have MS Access. And that's pretty much it when it comes to relational database. So if you learn one, you will know pretty much all of them. Today we're going to go over MySQL. I use Oracle a lot in my project, in my career. But if you learn one, it's pretty similar. It's same thing. If you learn one concept is same, minor tweak. So, okay. Okay. So let's continue. What is SQL? I think we went over what is SQL. Why SQL? Oh, we're not going to talk about why SQL. Brief history, not needed. No one has time for this anymore. Process. Okay, let's look at the diagram. Okay, so let's look at the diagram. This is going to give you good idea about SQL, how the data is processed. So we send the SQL query language processor. So we have So we use one of the tool, right? From the tool, we send SQL query. An actual database is right here on the bottom part of it. So we send the SQL query using the query language, and then there's a processor. It processes that query that we sent, and this is where DBMS, database management system engine, is sitting, and it's going to send your query to physical database to retrieve the data. So once all of this is done, you send the query, it goes through the process, it's going to retrieve the data, and it's going to send you back the result. And you will see the result, and then you can verify it. It's quite simple. We'll go through this practice in a bit. Then there is this thing called SQL commands. So commands, like you send, it's nothing but the query or commands. You send a request to the database saying, hey, I need to see this information, and it will process this information and send it back to you. Now, it's not one way of sending this request. You can send this request in many different ways, and we'll learn this in a second. So let's go through SQL command. Okay. So DDL, okay. So there are the standard SQL commands to interact with the relational database are create, select, insert, update, delete, and drop. So these are different type of commands. Create is responsible for creating a database or a table or a record. And select is responsible for selecting and viewing, displaying that whatever the record you want to see. Insert is responsible for inserting additional record into the database. An update will make changes as per your need. Delete will delete a table or a record. Drop will basically drop a table or a database. So these are different commands. And those commands are separated by different categories. For example, DDL, DML, and DCL, and that's it. So let's see, what are we responsible for? DDL is data definition language. Create, alter, drop, not our job. QA will not create anything. Like I said before, QA will not alter anything. QA will not drop anything, right? So like I said, creating is entering. So we are not going to enter anything to the physical database. We are not going to make any new entry, whether if it's brand new or update or modifying something, we're not going to do that. That's developer's job. So our job is pretty easy, right? So we're not responsible for DDL. Let's let's see the DML. DML is data manipulation language. So this is what part of it we're going to do, right? So as part of DML, we have select, insert, update, delete, right? So, okay, so we're only responsible for select. Select retrieves certain records from one or more tables. Insert, like I said, creates a new record. We are not responsible for that. Update modifies a record. Delete deletes a record. We are not responsible for most of DML. We are only responsible for select. DCL, data control language. So this is for mostly admin. We are not responsible for. So as part of DCL is grant and revoke. So this is access related, user management related things. So this is going to be handled by the data administrative work. So even developers will not have access to perform these actions. This is mainly for uh, administrative work. Yeah, this is weird. What is RDBMS? Relational Database Management System. So SQL and all modern database system like MySQL, blah, 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 and Microsoft Access Relationship Management Database Management System that's based on relation model is introduced. You read through this document. You have access to this document. It's under this right here, right under SQL folder. So once you go to my drive, actually shared drive from this, right? From this, go to document, IT solutions document. From here, this is the link. Click on this link. You will end up here. From here, go to SQL. It's a lot. There's a lot of information here. So read that document. When you have a second, it will give you more idea, but I'll give you the highlight of it. So in database testing, your focus on basic. So uh, what's in the database, right? I said, we're storing data. How are we storing data? The question is, how are we storing data? We're storing the data in table format with rows and columns. So if you look at our one of our Excel sheet, right? What is this, right? This is nothing but data. This is a table, but inside this table we have rows and columns. And what are we doing here? We're storing the data. We have the headers here, right? And of course, this spreadsheet has a name. And if you look at here, right on top, it has a name, Scrum Team 2023. So this would be your table name, basically. This would be your table name. And inside this table, you have all of these records. You have the headers right here, and you have all of the data right here. So that's what it is, right? So when you're working in a real environment, you'll be working with so much data, and those data needs to be stored properly in an organized manner. And whenever you need those data, you should be able to retrieve those data. And now, let's say you have a million record here, right here, right? You have a million record and you want to see only one record. How do you do that? And this is something can be done by using the SQL query. In my project, like the project I'm working on right now, last month we had a project where we were dealing with 10 terabytes of data. 10 terabytes. So think about the amount of data, the volume of data we're dealing with, and how careful we have to be, and how organized we have to be. And also, like, we need not only just storing the data, we need to store the data in a way that we can find them when we need them. And also we need to know how to find them, things like this, right? So think about this Excel sheet having thousands of records and you only need one record. How do you view it? This is something we're going to learn. So what is table? I already explained just now, right? And you should know. Field, field, every table broken up into smaller entities called field. The field in the customer table consider ID. So field is, I was referring as headers. Your header can be ID, names, age, things like this. Then of course, I'm sure you guys know about rows. What is row? Row is nothing but this, right? And columns, you know this, right? Particular entry is the column. Null value. So this is one important thing to understand. If I'm going too fast, let me know. I just simply don't want to spend so much time in documentation, and also I don't want to spend so much time in SQL, physical database. You should know the concept, but also know the industry is moving toward AWS cloud-based database, which is different than this. But of course, you must know this as well. If you know this concept, you'll be able to retrieve data in AWS database as well. So let's talk about null value. So what is null? Like sometimes when a table created, let me show you the table again. So this is our table, right? We have different fields like this is the person name, right? Basically, person name, email address. So unfortunately, like this only has, this is broken into like multiple. Let's go to registration. Sorry. I think this is a better entry, better example. So we have date, name, email, phone number, location, blah, 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 right? And some of them are mandatory, some of them are not mandatory. So mandatory fields, you must enter something. And optional field, you don't need to enter anything. So for example, if someone, so note is not mandatory, so there is no values here. So this is considered as null. Notes section does not have any value, but this is considered as null. Versus if someone enters a zero, right? So if someone enters a zero, it's also like nothing, right? Zero is nothing. But to be able to differentiate, um, once you enter something, even if it's zero, it's not null because it has an entry. Even though I'm repeating again, null is not same thing as adding zero because zero has when it comes to database, right? Even if you enter zero, that takes a place that is being stored somewhere. So that's not considered as null. Null is like this, totally empty. Cool. So when we create the table, right, we can specify, right, this value can be null or cannot be null. So again, if we go back here, when we create this table, we could have marked this as not null, meaning this cannot be empty. You need to enter something here. Okay. Constraint, you don't need to learn now. Feel free to read, but you don't need to learn it now. What else? Okay, so this is talking about the history of MySQL. So MySQL is a type of database. It's open source. Open source meaning it's free. You can simply register, download, and use it for practice purpose. Feel free to do that. I just don't like physical database stored in my system, so I use cloud-based. This is a practice purpose cloud-based database, so I'll just use this one. Okay, MySQL Server, history about MySQL Server. Feel free to read. So MySQL Server is Microsoft. So basically Microsoft came up with MySQL Server and they're talking about the features of it. Oracle. Oracle is, I like Oracle. So the history of Oracle, features and everything. And then MyAccess. MyAccess is also probably Microsoft product. Yeah. Oracle is their own. So Oracle is also they have their own company and their own database. It's a big one. Okay. So syntax. Then the other thing we need to learn is about SQL syntax. What is syntax? Um, how do I explain syntax? Sets of rules, sets of standards. Let's see. SQL is followed by unique sets of rule and guidelines called syntax. Yeah, like I said, set of rules and unique sets of guidelines is nothing but syntax. And we will write some of them. This tutorial gives a quick start with SQL by installing basic. Okay. So all of the SQL statements starts either with select, insert, update, delete, all of, like this, but we'll practice one by one. The most important point to be noted here that SQL is case sensitive, which means select and select have same. Is it? SQL is case insensitive. Okay. Whew, I was confused. Yeah, so SQL is not case sensitive. So you can write, uppercase or lowercase. But I think some of the database is case sensitive, not the syntax, but the values. So let's not get confused now. Once we get there, we'll talk about it. So like I was saying, various type of syntax, select, distinct, where. Okay, so we'll practice all of them starting right now. So data type, let's talk a little bit about data types. There's so many different data types, but we'll focus on the ones is important. And I think here they explain data type better. All right, guys, are you still with me?
Yes.
Cool, I hope so. Okay, so there are different data types, string data types. Out of this, I'll just tell you there's so many type of data, right? So I'll just go over what you must know, but also, you can feel free to read up on these things, this document basically. So string data types, in string data type, we have char. Char is nothing but characters, right? So this is a type of data and it has a specific size. So when do you need uh, to specify data type? When you're creating a table. Let me give you an example so it will make sense. Create a table, right? So this is the query to create a table. If you guys can see my screen, create table persons. So you're saying I want to create a table that the name of this table is persons, and this table will have different field like the headers I was showing you, person ID, last name, first name, address, city. So if you think about, right, different fields here, we are talking about, like you saw in registration form, we have different fields and different type of data. Like this data right here is not same as this data. It also is not same as this data. Also, this data is different. So all of this data, as a human, you understand is different, but for machine, for database, they don't understand it. You need to specify it. Hey, under phone number field, I want to be able to store numbers. So there are different type of data for numbers and you need to specify it under this so they will understand. Under date field, I want to store dates and the format that you want, right? There are so many different formats, right? So you want to say, under the date field, I want to be able to store this type of date format. So you need to specify that. Under email, you need to let them know, hey, I want to be able to store this type of data as part of my email field. Full name or first name or last name, address, different type of data. So you need to be able to specify that. And how do you do that? As part of your table creation, right? You're saying right here, look at this. This is common English, right? So you're saying create table, table name. Now you're saying person ID, this is a field, and I want to be able to enter integer value, right? Go back here again, right? So this is something looks like this, right? I don't have an ID field here, but I'm just showing you. So here you're saying I want to be able to enter this type of data. Last name field, varchar. Varchar is a variable character, combination of variable character. So you're saying under last name field, this is the type of data I should be able to enter, and you're giving a limit. You're saying my data could be up to 255 characters long. Similarly, you're saying first name, I want to enter same type of data, address, same type of data, city, same type of data. Unfortunately, this table does not have different type of data, only integer and varchar, which is fine. It solves the problem. So let's go back. So now you probably understand why we need to know the different type of data. When you create a table, you need to specify what type of data you want to store. Mostly, like you saw, you're gonna be dealing with varchar or char and the integer. These three is what you're gonna be dealing with mostly as a QA. But let's go over some, right? So char is nothing but character. It will it is this when you're entering or specifying this data, your limit is up to 255. You cannot go beyond that. This is what this type of data limits you to store. Then varchar, and this is character only, characters only. Varchar is so this one's size is from 0 to 6,000, 65,535 characters. And you can also enter numbers and special characters here. You see, this one allows you to store letters, numbers, and special characters. Well, char also allows you to, oh, it does, can contain letter, number, special character. So basically, difference between these two is the size. Everything else is same. This one stores 2,255 characters up to, and this one 65,535 characters. Okay, what else? Numeric data type. So there's another data type, numeric. So like I said, integer is the most popular one here. So you are allowed to store from minus negative this number, it's in millions, to positive this number, right? A medium integer sign range from this and that. Unsigned range is from this to that. Okay. So basically integer, it's a huge number of data you can store. int stands for integer. Also integer, I don't know the difference between them two. To me, it looks like same. int and integer.
Kadirba, are you there?
Sorry, I think I lost you guys for a minute due to my internet connection.
Yeah, because you just froze and nothing happened.
Yeah, I think it kicked me out and then I'm back. So I was covering the data type and I was in integer. Did you guys int? Did you hear about this one?
Yeah, we're on the
Okay,
next one.
sorry.
Yeah, you were going over INC and integer. I think you said they're basically the same thing.
Yeah, it looks like same thing. I don't even know the difference. I was saying that maybe like when you're using different database, it requires you to specify either like certain database would be fine with specifying int only, and certain database would require to enter the entire integer. That's what I'm assuming, because to me it looks like the same, unless somebody has more information. Then two other things here like double and decimal. So when you have like when you have a decimal and then you have, let's say, 10.550 or something like that, you need to use double. And decimal, I think, is just 1 digit. That's the different 10.0, 10.1, something like that. Or 0, 1. Read through it. You should just differentiate it if you can. But these are the things probably not that much important. If you understand integer, virtual, you should be good to go. You're gonna see a lot of this one though. Date and time types, date and time, data time. There are different, so date, if you talk about dates, there are different formatting of dates, right? YYY, DD, vice versa, and there are many more here. Date time, sometimes like you have date and time combined, so you have this. So depending on what your application supports, they will be using such data timestamps. So there are many different timestamps, right? Yeah, that's pretty much it when it comes to data that you must know. So now that you understand the data, different type of data, at least some of them, you should be able to understand when creating a table. This is database. When creating a data table, right, we need to specify the data type and the size of it, right? So if you think about this registration, right, I have full name, right? I'm going to be using varchar here, and then I can specify how long should a full name be. Should not be more than 50. A standard name would be 10 digit or something like that, or 15 digit, between 8 to 15 digit, I would say. So to be on the safe side, I would say when I create this field, I would specify my data type as varchar, and the size would be something around, to be on the safe side, I would say 25. And the reason, like, you don't want to you don't want to specify bigger number, because it holds um it it will impact your storage of data, right? It will hold that size of the data from your database. Like, it would not allow you to use that amount of data. So um, you know that's something you need to consider. You can't just randomly give larger number. Okay, so next one, the phone number field. So if you're creating a table and you have a field called phone number field, what type of data you would be um, specifying for this field to hold? Any idea?
Int.
Sorry,
Int.
INT, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. Guys, I would request you to put your name. Just somebody has a dot. That this is a professional environment, guys. So I think we need to know each other. That's a must. Okay, so that's good, right? All right, so let's go ahead and start. Let's go ahead and start. So we're going to start from very beginning. Intro is not needed. Syntax is not needed. Select. So like I said, right, we're not going to go and create any database. We're going to only practice what's needed, what the actions we are going to perform. The actions we're going to have to perform at our job. So the creation of table, if you look at this right here, creation of table is done. Somebody, developers, has created the table for you. What else? Everything right here is done. They have created the table. All you need to know is the name of your tables. Right here we have a table named persons. I think we have other table. let's see, employee or something like that. Customers. So they have a customer table here. So we can start. Let's start our practices. So we know we have a table called customer, right? And now I want to see what's in this customer table. I want to select everything from that customer table to see what's in the customer table. Right now, as of now, I have no idea, zero clue how many records they have, how many, what are the different data it has. So I have no idea. So to see everything, I'm just going to say select asterisk. So asterisk represent everything. Asterisk means everything. Give me everything. So select is obviously select. You're saying select everything from customers. So customers is the table name that was created. And this is the syntax from your SQL, right? So now if I hit run, right, on the bottom, there's nothing right now, right? If I hit run, see what happens. I should be seeing everything, 91 records. So look at this, customer tables as 91 record, right? Look at this, 91 records, right? Among them, we have customer IDs, customer name. These are our headers, right? These are our fields. Customer name, contract name, address, city, postal code, country. Now, this headers is something that we could pull individual record. We can use these headers to get individual records, right? So I said right now, I want to know and see everything from customers table. So I saw everything from customers table. Now it's confusing, right? I have so much information, and luckily this one only has 91 records, so I can go in and check what I need to check. But you know, in reality, when you go to actual work, you're talking about millions of records. So of course, you know, you can't see millions of record. I mean, you can see, but you can't really read through them. It is time consuming. So you need to see specific record. Now, even before going to specific record, here, let's say like, you know, I just want to see customer name. I don't want to see anything else. So I do not want to see anything else. I just want to see customer's name. So how would you do that? Right? So now we cannot use asterisk anymore. Now we need to delete asterisk, and we should say select customer names from customers and hit run. Now it's only showing you customers' names. So these are the customers you have, right? So these are the things, right, you can use for your report. So let's say, you know, this is a dummy example. If your manager says, hey, give me all the customer names that we have in our system. So you can just use this command, and this has an export functionality, right? Somewhere you should be able to export it and send it to him or her using an Excel sheet or something like that. Now, what other fields are there? I don't know. Customer name and address. So let's say you want to see customer
Wow.
name,
How about city? If we were to do by city, then
anything. You can play with anything. I'm just trying to see what are the different. So it's just comma separated. Comma separated. So you want to see customer name, city, anything else. Let's say you want to see country as well. Right, these three things we want to see. Right? See? Makes sense, right? So it's like sorting, right? You know how you sort in your Excel sheet? So you can sort here as well. Now let's go even further, right? Now, so we know we can do this. We can continue to manipulate here. We can continue to do different things, but instead of doing that, let's do something else. So here, select asterisk from customers. We have everything. Now, if you look at this right now, let's say you want to know how many people from one country. So you have how many people from each country, basically. Or let's say you want to see, so in the country field, you can see Germany once, Germany twice, Germany, Germany 3 times, many times. So we have 91 records, right? And we have multiple people from same country. So let's say I want to avoid that. I just want to see one person, distinct record. I just want to see one person from each country. That's it. So instead of this, right, I'm going to say distinct. Select distinct. So what I want to see, distinct countries, right? So I want to see distinct country. I don't want to see duplicates here from customers. So I think this is going to be much smaller now. 21 records only. So we have 21 different countries in our database, right? So I wanted to see distinct country from customers. So I am seeing, you see there is no duplicate. Similarly, you can see distinct name, distinct address, and things like this. If requires, you can sort like this as well. Now, next big thing is where clause. Now let's continue further. Okay, let's see what do you want to do. So use back to 91 again. Now let's say I want to see all the people that are from Mexico or Germany, one of them. So what I would say, I want to see all the records and everybody that are from Mexico. Any idea how we can do it? Select asterisk from customer. Any idea, anyone? Where country equal to? So we need to put it under quotation. So where clause. Now we're going to use where clause when we want to see specific value inside the table. So what I'm looking for is different records, different rows separated by country. So let's see what happens. See what happens. All Mexico. So first part, so understand the first part of the query, right? First part, I'm saying select everything. I'm saying give me everything from customers. This is customers is the table name. Give me everything from the customers. But then I'm saying where country equal to Mexico. So first part, give me everything. Last part, I'm saying just give me everybody belongs to Mexico. Is it clear?
Yes.
Great. We can do like, we can we can further, maybe you can do another country or what? Let's see what country we have. We have UK. Right? So whenever you have strings, right, you have to put that string inside a quotation. Right. Okay. Now we can use and. So if you want to see two things, so if both statement, all right, let's talk about and then I'll explain what, why. So let's see. So if you look at, I think we need to go back to one of the previous query. UK. So let's look at the UK. So we have everybody from UK here, but let's say you want to further sort this query and only see city equal to London, right? So we have two city, Cowes and London. So let's see. We just want to see London. Where country equal to UK and city equal to. What do you think is going to happen now? So now we have 7 record. When I run this one, how many record you're expecting?
6, I think.
6.
6, right? See? It's only showing London because we have given 2 conditions and both the condition has to match. And we said select asterisk from customer where country equal to UK and, so both of them are mandatory. This has to match as well. So now both condition is true, so it's returning the value. I think the next one, just, okay, so do one thing, right? So you see, this is w3schools.com, really good platform. I enjoy this one a lot. Anything you want to learn from SQL to HTML, JavaScript, Java, anything you want is here. It's really nice. I use it a lot. Use it for SQL. Everything is so organized. You can practice like I am practicing, right? And you can see they will guide you, navigate you. And also they have quizzes. You can take their quizzes. Practice here. This is really good, right? So we finished and we will try OR. And if we look at OR, what is OR? One or more. The operator is filter record based on more than one condition. Like if you want to return all customer from Germany, but also those from Spain. Okay, I see what they're saying. So now we can do country equal to UK, or you can say either or. I think this should return both, right? Country equal to, let's say Spain. Let's say this. So this one is returning countries from UK and Spain, all the records from UK and Spain. And you can even further modify it, right? Instead of saying asterisk, you probably just need customer IDs and customer name, right? Let's just say customer ID and customer name. I'm just showing you like, things you can do with this, right? Cool. So that's that. Yeah, so what is the next one? Next one is not, and I don't really like this statement, but let's just use it. And I usually use not in, but that's a different one, basically. Select So now you can simply just say where not country equal to UK. What do you think is going to happen when we do this? What do you think is going to return?
Only Spain will become up.
Only Spain will come up?
Other than UK, all the countries.
Exactly. 84 records. Other than UK, everything will come. Yeah. Okay, so one other important one. One other important one that I want to show you. Okay. So now when we hit this one, right, what happens? It's returning all the records, which is 91. Luckily, it's only 91. Now, let's say your table, and of course, when you're working, you will have millions of record. Now, when you do this, when you send this query, it can exhaust your database, because when you have millions of records, trillions of records, and when you randomly say, give me everything from this table, now it's going to send a request to your server, your database, and try to get every single record, which is not the best practice. So when you're sending this kind of request in an actual work, you need to know like what type of data you are working with. And of course, you will understand it once you're working in the in your company, you'll understand. So rather than randomly like saying, hey, give me everything from this table, you want to be a little bit more careful and say, hey, just give me top 10 record from here, or top 2 or top 3, so that you don't exhaust your database. You can say top 10, right? Asterisk from, you see what happened now? Now you're only requesting just give me top 10 from this table. Now your database, your query will not have any impact in your database. Your database can give you this information in its sleep. It does not have to worry about this record. Versus if you have a couple of millions of records here, when you send this query, it might take a couple of minutes because it's going to collect all of this information and send it to you. Sometimes what happens, it could impact your application, meaning, if somebody's using that application, they may experience slowness. Now, let's say you have not millions, billions of records. Now, this query might run 10 minutes. So think about the pressure you're putting in the database. So you want to avoid that, because all you're trying to see here, select asterisk from customer, you just want to see like, what's in this table. You're not really doing anything productive here. So you don't need to see everything. You can just see a couple of records and see how it looks. And then you can further do your work, right? You can do your work further, basically. What else? So if you have like, we should have different table. Let's see. Is there a table called price? I think we should. No, we don't. We need to make one maybe. Okay. Products maybe. Maybe there is a table called products. Yeah. Okay, so this is what I'm trying to see. So this should be a small table. I don't really care about this one. So products. These are existing tables. You can see, right, the right-hand side, these are the tables. These are existing tables. Customer tables has 91 record, categories has 8 records, employees table has 10 records. You're not going to see this information in your real job. This information would be stored somewhere in diagram or something, developers will, you can ask developers about your database architecture, they will give it to you. Okay, so right now we are working on products. So products are 77 records, 77 records. Now, these are the prices we have, and we don't know what is the maximum prices or what is the minimum prices. So we can look into this by our queries. So I can say, I want to see what is the maximum price in here. I just want to see that. So how do I do that? I can just simply say select, I want to see maximum, max, select max. Oh man. Select max price from products. Select from products.
You would
A
spell
or Z, typically with Z.
Yeah, thank you. You see what happened? So we know what is the maximum price. Let me see what kind of, let's just, what kind of error it was showing. Okay, you see? So in SQL, right now, whenever you make a mistake, just read into the error message. Usually you'll have your answer there. You'll get a lot of errors when you're working in actual environment. You'll have a lot of errors. Just read into the errors. It will give you the hint where you mess up, either line number or something like that. Okay, so we know maximum. Let's see minimum. What is the minimum? $2.5, right? So that's also done. I think it's been more than an hour. We'll stop in a minute. I probably think this is enough for today. What do you guys think? Should we pick up next week? And also, I would like to request you guys to practice a little bit. Practice a little bit. Use this w3schools.com. I think this is really helpful. Either use this or just go to MySQL. One of them was free, I think. MySQL, the first one. Yeah, this one. MySQL. So you can create an account, but you have to physically download that tool in your local machine, and I usually don't like doing that. Sometimes it slows down your computer.